Welcome to Reparenting Daily, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine, and is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading, the second is a discussion of that reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is a peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you can join us for this journey of self-expansion. If this is your first time, welcome. As a celebration of completing our first full year of Reparenting Daily episodes, I've opened a free membership tier for the Patreon community so that you can access more resources and join weekly Zoom calls for free. I understand there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I know that many people are really struggling. My hope with this is to encourage others to still pick up the work of reparenting and offer a free community where people can come together and do that. I'd also like to thank all of you who've been along on the journey so far. Just as a reminder, this is a free podcast, but you can support the project by purchasing the Reparenting Daily journal, where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week, and it also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into 3 phases of the hero's journey, beginning, middle, and end. And while you might think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you here. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over millennia that we can use to integrate in our reparenting journey. It's a fun way to connect with your inner child. Each volume contains 10 fairy tales. They include an analysis section to help you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts to reflect on the story's meaning for your own life. Lastly, you can also support the podcast by taking a paid Patreon subscription, purchasing the books on the website, or by donating to Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the supporter section of the website. And so, with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is from the Harvard Business Review, and it's entitled "A Sense of Belonging Starts with Self-Acceptance" by D.D.S. Dobson-Smith. Just as a reminder, we're in February, and the theme for this month is self-compassion and self-kindness. We're in week 3, which is February 15th until the 21st. And the theme of this week is cultivating inner warmth and self-acceptance. Humans are social creatures. We have a deep-seated need to be liked, respected, and accepted among our peers. Sometimes that need is so strong, it drives us to alter our behaviors in exchange for approval. At work, school, and other social institutions, this happens every day. People whose identities don't conform with the dominant group are often pressured to present disingenuously to fit in. Under these circumstances, a sense of belonging is hard to come by. As an example, let's say that you work for an organization that hires and creates creates products representative of predominantly white, straight, cisgender, male, able-bodied, middle-class, and thin men. Let's say that you have few of these qualities. Do you feel comfortable walking into the room? Probably not. In fact, you probably feel that you should hide certain parts of yourself in order to appear less different. A mother walks into this office and doesn't think about her children because she thinks it will limit her growth opportunities. A queer person walks into this office and hesitates to mention their same-sex relationship to avoid judgment. A black man walks into the office and hides how scared they are by another racially driven murder in the news, because who will be able to relate to and understand that feeling? If you look, sound, love, or think differently than the majority in the spaces you occupy, then you already know this. You also know that it comes at a high cost, emotionally, physically, and mentally. While the issue here is systemic and ultimately needs to be solved at the leadership level, you don't have to sit by until change knocks. The experience of belonging is unique in that it does not only come down to your organization, your manager, or your teammates. You have a role to play, too, and that role starts with self-acceptance. Discover your power. Every one of us has the power to accept and honor who we are at our very core. This looks like owning all of our qualities and values and choices, regardless of how we think others will perceive us. This looks like showing up for and believing in ourselves first. Self-acceptance happens through a process of self-discovery and self-awareness. It's a state we experience when we welcome, include, and take pride in all that we are and all that we are not yet. When we welcome every part of ourselves, the pressure to perform or suppress our true character lifts. We create more space to exist comfortably within and can give more to our work, customers, and to our relationships in that space. It's only when we like ourselves and care for ourselves like we would a loved one that we begin to feel that we deserve to be visible and feel we belong. What gets in the way of self-acceptance? While society is one factor that gets in the way, we do too. Self-acceptance may be essential to our well-being and our happiness and our work, but it's not something that we can conquer overnight. It requires regular practice to overcome the biases that many of us have been taught to hold against ourselves since childhood. To understand why this is, we have to go back to the beginning. Most infants and young children are developing at light speed, faster than our adult brain can imagine. As babies, basic connections are made in our brain, synapses are created, and we absorb information indiscriminately and without discernment. The majority of this knowledge arrives through interactions with our immediate caregivers, family, and friends. As we grow older, this circle expands to our schools, religious institutions, workplaces, communities, and the media. Pop culture and the practices, beliefs, and objects trending at any given time. By adolescence, most of us has learned subconsciously or consciously what our society promotes and favors. In most cultures, this manifests as a set of inborn characteristics or identity markers. For example, right now, and for centuries in the US, the dominant group identity marker include white male cisgender, heterosexual, and able-bodied. When you consider that, from the start, we're trained to believe that certain characteristics are in or out, good or less good, favorable or unfavorable. The battle with self-acceptance becomes easier to understand. This training is further compounded by the way historically marginalized identities have been portrayed in mainstream media. The Asian person as the underdog, the black person as the criminal, and the trans person, the lovestick loner. The gay person as the drug-fueled partygoer, or the disabled person as the butt of a joke. For anyone who is not a member of the dominant groups, and sometimes even for those who are, we internalize these messages when we are young and create beliefs about what is and what isn't good, right, and likable. Inevitably, we end up projecting those biases onto ourselves, creating negative self-images and low expectations of our capabilities. These projections, or internalized prejudices, become calcified as our personal truth. They are weapons we unknowingly use against ourselves, causing us emotional pain, holding us back from achieving our full potential, and suppressing our experience of pride. This is often the source of the oft talked about and universal experience phenomenon known as imposter syndrome, the cause of many derailed lives and careers. This is also why, as adults, we need to do the work to understand our own biases, especially the ones we have against ourselves. That work isn't going to be easy, and it's going to be very hard. While I agree that this is a solvable problem at large, know that we have the tools to thrive under any circumstances we find ourselves in. Here's some advice on how to take back your power by rewriting your individual narrative and beliefs, and by developing the kind of thoughts and habits that will create change for the future. Start by learning to love yourself. If you have at least one identity marker that comes from a marginalized or unrepresentative group, it isn't much of a case of if you have internalized sexism, racism, ableism, transphobia, or homophobia, but more a case of how it shows up and impacts your inner and outer worlds. The good news is that it's possible to unleash your biases and relearn to love all the parts of you are, despite what the dominant discourse would have you believe. Thank you. That's a reading for today. As a reminder, we've only read a portion. Please do check out the link in the show notes to read the entire article. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this reading today, which is a bit different coming from the Harvard Business Review, is essential for reparenting, self-expansion, and overcoming childhood developmental trauma because it highlights the deep connection between self-acceptance and belonging, which are both critical of the ability to reparent ourselves, experiences that must be incorporated. Those who are working along reparenting and making their progress in this journey may have felt unseen, unaccepted, or forced to conform in order to gain approval. As a result, they may have internalized self-rejection, believing they must suppress parts of themselves to be worthy of love or success. Reparenting is a process of reclaiming those lost hidden parts of ourselves and offering the unconditional love and validation that was missing in childhood. Self-acceptance is a vital part of this journey. It allows individuals to break free from societal conditioning and self-criticism, empowering them to embrace their true selves without fear or shame. Overcoming trauma requires self-acceptance, as many trauma survivors struggle with feelings of unworthiness and internalized prejudice. By educating ourselves about the biases we've absorbed and learning to challenge them, we can take our power back and create a more authentic and fulfilling sense of self. Belonging is a crucial aspect of reparenting because it helps heal the wounds of emotional neglect and social alienation. When a child grows up feeling different, excluded, or unworthy of love, they may develop survival mechanisms that lead them to shrink, overcompensate, or disconnect from their true selves. Reparenting involves building a strong internal foundation where self-acceptance replaces external validation as the primary source of worth. However, true healing also requires safe spaces of belonging, whether in friendships, communities, or personal practices, where one can be fully seen and accepted. These spaces counteract the isolation that comes with trauma and self-rejection, providing the support needed to expand, take risks, and embrace one's full identity. By cultivating self-acceptance and finding environments that truly nurture our authenticity, we move from mere survival into thriving, a connected existence. As we look at the journal prompts for today, number 1, in what ways have I hidden or altered parts of myself to feel accepted? How can I begin to embrace and honor my true self? Number 2, what messages about belonging and self-worth did I internalize growing up? And how do they still affect me today? And number 3, what steps can I take to create spaces within myself and in my external world where I feel safe, valued, and truly accepted? That's it for today. We've reached an amazing milestone today. This is episode 300 of the daily podcast for 365 days of the year. So we are making our way. We are making our way, guys. We are making our way to 365 episodes. Thank you for being there with me every step of the way. As you all know, if you've just started joining this year we will be starting from zero, quote unquote. But not technically, but the difference is that this year we started with a theme in the journal. Whereas I just started doing this last year kind of offhand, and then this idea came to me, so I set it up for the coming year. I just kept the numbers going, so we'll see how far we are over time and how far we can make it. But again, thanks for being here for this episode of Reparenting Daily, episode 300. We're making our way. I appreciate all your support, all of your work on the process of reparenting. I appreciate all of you reaching out to me, your comments, your donations. It's really meant a lot to me to see just how many people are actually listening in, tuning in. And I have some other new ideas and things coming to make this even more engaging and interactive experience going forward in the next few months. So thanks again for being here. Much appreciated. Much love. As always, take care of yourself and do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you are taking some time to be with your breath to connect with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing as if they are drifting down a river. Use this time to connect with yourself. Whatever time of day you are listening to this, Namaste.